Okay.
staying
Yeah. So we were assigned with the zine project for this module, and like in we the first thing we had to think about for this was like kind of like who we wanted to reach and what message we wanted to put across, and like I think one thing we all agreed on was like how or like what we do as in within NCAD is like not maybe as understood as maybe some of the more traditional mediums and practices. And like even like if you think about coming into first year, like I know a lot of people didn't really know the course was an option, but we all like love it now. So we wanted to just like our angle was to talk to students within art students, and yeah, so we were kind of looking through different scenes and stuff, and so in order to get through to I think people our age, we kind of just like thought about sex, because like
Sex sells.
yeah, pretty much, and then like playing with this like double entendre of like fuck media, but like no, but like fuck like and yeah, so we wanted it to be kind of like sexual, like in like thematically, but like sexual for no reason, just because like we're trying to put it forward a message, and like we were quite inspired by we went to Nival and looked at like zines, and I know Memphis has lots of
yeah, a lot of especially Riot Girl zines, zines that were handmade and in low copies would have really brash titles, such as like one of the most popular ones was Incest, and it was just big, bold, and it just says incest, so you pick it up because you want to know what it's about, because you know it's kind of like morbid curiosity of why.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. What was I gonna say?
So that's the concept we went with our
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, exactly.
Next slide. Do you want me to talk through?
Yeah.
Okay. So, in terms of, as John said, like we wanted to appeal, it was more so at Fergal's suggestion, because we went back and forth about our actual content. A lot being creatives, I think we had the concept and the design down, but then we came like, what were we actually going to put in the zine? So, instead of gearing it at incoming potential NCAD students, it was more so geared at first years who are now coming to the point of picking what they want to do. Next slide, please. So I thought back to how I was in first year, my understanding of media, and me not knowing a fucking thing about media, trying to break down in the most simplistic language possible what the actual course is like what you actually do in a week, or the 2 modules. This is all information that will be available to people, but it's across a billion different emails or on Canvas, or in meetings. Like, I just wanted to put it all in one place so that it makes sense. Something I wish I had when I was choosing what discipline I wanted to study. So basically just trying to translating it. So lens culture, photography, moving image, video, new media, still don't quite know what that is. And what was our last one? What else did we study? Huh?
Critical making.
Critical making, okay, yes. So, and then, next slide, please. Yep. And then I also broke down, so, didn't go into first year, as I said, first year, they're already there, that's why they're reading this. Final year, what they do, and then Studio Plus, and then I also spoke about professional practice. Some of these courses, I'm sure, are kind of subject to change over time, but even I think it's a good point of reference, or if anyone wants to read this in the future, just to know what we actually do throughout the year, broken down. Yeah, and then you have that page.
Yeah, I think you also talked about the joint honors degree.
That is something that I did.
Yeah.
I referred back to the NCAD website page just to fill in the blanks a little bit, and just to try to really fill it out, really explain it. And also things I wish I knew, I was probably told them. Did I remember them? No. So, like about achieving a B, could have been critical cultures, guys, but I didn't know about that B thing. So just trying to really break it down.
So I chose the artists. There are 4 artists we included in zine. And it was actually a fun task to be the one choosing the artists, because I kind of did just choose ones that I found personally valuable or interesting. So there's one for kind of that would fall under each of the categories, you know, the things that you've talked about and the disciplines that we have. So first I have, I hope, I'm going to butcher her name unfortunately, I was able to find a video of someone saying it, but Atusa Porhasini. She actually had, she was at the Temple Bar Gallery when I think it was this class went to see it, and it was the one that was kind of like very much relating to rituals and kind of like solar, I forget the name, I'm sorry, it's like solar cycles and such, and she had really beautiful video work there at that exhibit, so I chose her for kind of the moving image person because it was just really beautiful work, and I did try to choose images from her work that we could put in the zine because I knew it would be black and white. So any of the images included are things that were considered in black and white, so they would still, you know, look interesting. But it was very beautiful in color as well. And this is Morshin Aliari. She's very interesting. She's kind of the new media person. And she does a lot of 3D animation and kind of using softwares. And she kind of talks about she kind of reimagines Middle Eastern culture and kind of focuses on like the monstrous female in some of her work, or you know, like queer figures who may have been misrepresented or definitely were misrepresented, and she wants to kind of like bring that back into conversation and give them some new life. So her work is actually very interesting. I recommend looking into it. And for the kind of lens culture photography one, I chose Heather Lazard. And they work in the UK, and a lot of their work is kind of focused around like sexuality and kind of queer existence and kind of getting rid of stereotypes around queer individuals. She has a project called Queer Letters, where it's just some very like authentic images of people that she knew or like people that wanted to be part of it. And it was just a single photo accompanied with a letter talking about their experiences, which is, you know, it was a really nice project actually. There's a website about it, which wasn't able to link because it's a zine, but it was very nice to read through everything there. It was very good work. And the final one I have, I struggled slightly more to find something for critical making, which was kind of current, but I found this artist called Detour, who operates from Colorado. And he actually works with a lot of local musical artists and like audio, because he uses a lot of kind of bear paints and everything. So he'll make a great big painting with a lot of bear paints, and then he will make it with like a DJ from the area, and then it'll be hung up instead of a gallery in kind of like a bar that a lot of people would frequent, and then the DJ will like play like music on his painting. It's actually sick. There are great videos of people doing that. It's just great to see that kind of like work and like feeling in use, I guess, and very full of life, being brought to life, and a lot of them are collabs as well, which is really cool. So he was very interesting to look into.
I guess I'll start talking about I'll flip through it from the beginning. I was in charge of most of the design there. I discussed it back. I would send unfinished like drafts up to the group chat that we had, and the main idea that I wanted to go with is I wanted to make it feel like it's scraps that people would collect for themselves, especially like very brash, very like there's titles on every single one that are like very eye-catching that you'd see. The way I gathered these, it was a process for me, and if you were in studio that week, I was just on my laptop on the Internet Archive looking at porn and just looking at nudie mags for the entire week of me making this. And trust me, it was so annoying at the end of the week to be looking at this, and it was very rewarding at the end because all these little scraps, they were very graphic-y. It felt like I was collecting these things. There were reoccurring themes in all of them. There was like all of these very brash titles that were like, take our sex survey, please. I think my favorite one is, I don't know if it's here, don't even think about buying a penis enhancing pill until you read this, and underneath it is Joanna Green. And I just thought it was very interesting the way porn is commercial, the way that they advertise these, like as if, you know, you can buy these experiences for yourself. I also actually did not end up using a lot of, there is nudity inside these, but I tend to like blur it out, or I tend to like make sure it's not that visible, so it's almost like it's catching your attention, but it's not really there. The entire thing had to be in black and white. It was in A4 for formatting. I thought the artists that Keelan picked were very like fitting to the entire thing, because I thought they fit immediately into the zine. And we had discussions before with how this could be like controversial if not seen as post-ironic, which I thought was interesting, because it's like, if you look at it in a way where we're just like, look, we're just gonna post a bunch of, especially because a lot of it was just nude women, then people are just gonna think we're just like fetishizing nude women for our thing, which is not what we were planning to do. We were thinking of it in like a contemporary way. We were thinking of it as like a post-ironic way of looking at it. And then I thought this ending was quite cute, and do we have the back of it? Yes, we do. And yeah, it was just a lot of collecting, a lot of going through it. I didn't want to be too brash about it, but it is an erotic zine for a reason, and I thought it'd be just interesting, especially for first years who don't know anything about media, to be like, look, this is this cool thing that we did. I think one of my friends when I was making this was like, this is exactly what people think media students do. So I thought that was very fitting in the end. I did want to like make it equal and make it like, but I found that the Internet archives a lot more female porn than it does male porn. And it is like an unequal balance, I suppose. I did like research about this, and it is very much unequal when it comes to, I tried to look at both sides and I just couldn't find equal enough. So that was my part of it.
And that concludes our presentation.